What's up, guys? Welcome to Box to Box Football, and we are here to do the greatest, the greatest series again. So where we picked like the best players from each position. We did goalkeeper, centre back, right back, left back. We are now doing centre midfields. Now, I mean the center of the pack. Now, this is a weird one because you can literally split this down the middle, or like you can split this into three sections. You can have defensive midfielders, box to box midfielders, and then you have attacking midfielders. But we're just gonna put all of them into one. We're gonna have our top three. You happy with that?
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
like we're gonna
just a thing to mention. It's at our own discretion too. So I'm sure it's not going to be a shock to anybody. I'm sure there'll be some Dutch players flying around. Now, the way that Holland and a lot of Central European teams coach their players is they want to be comfortable in every kind of section of the game. If you're a defender, you can also play a bit. If you're a midfielder, you have to defend. If you all that kind of stuff. So there'll be a couple of players where you go, were they a midfielder? And you kind of go, well, at our discretion, I think they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one because there's a lot of discrepancies here. When you could argue where a player should go. Let me give you an example of a player who I don't think is going to get into it, but someone like a Franco Zola. So he's known to everyone as a number 10. He's also known to people as a striker. I would put him in more of the striker category, but if you play as a sole 10, to me, you're a midfielder.
Right. And I agree.
Now, we're going to have a lot of honorable mentions here because I generally, this probably is the one that makes me feel the worst because there are so many great midfielders. And unfortunately, the only problem with this is that especially the ones in the 1960s, 1950s, I didn't get to see you guys play. No. Right? Someone like the great midfielder Didi for, I think it was Uruguay?
So I think he was Brazilian. He played for Botafogo. But no, James, I just want to echo your statements there. And also, not to hopefully offend anybody watching over a certain age, but my era comparison, I don't do any of this. Oh, well, if that player had the same nutritional benefits and training benefits and so I don't do that. That didn't happen. So that's where we're at. As much as I love the Bobby Charltons and, Billy Bremners and all these kind of guys from back in the day, they're not going to touch some of the guys that we're bringing up now.
First of all, Bobby definitely is in the category to me.
He's in the category, but he hasn't made my little short list of 8 players. That's all I'll say.
And maybe if we get an older viewer, someone who's because I consider myself to be a big historian of football, but to go that deep, during the World War time, it's a bit hard. In that situation, so we're gonna give a lot of honorable mentions as we speak, but we'll also leave ones in the comment section. I mean, also in the bio section because there's so many. This one, genuinely, it hurts me. Picking.
And also it's different strokes for different folks as well. I'll say a player who I absolutely love to bits and I would have in my team every day of the week is somebody like a Roy Keane or a Patrick Vieira, right? Those are the kinds of guys where you go these guys are absolute animals. You need these guys in your team. But if that style of midfielder maybe doesn't work for you in the way that you like to watch and, absorb and consume football, then maybe they won't make the list. Whereas if that is your kind of guy, then maybe some more, I don't know, technical or vision type players miss out. So it's tricky.
My act is messing up here, so that's why my eyes just lit up. Goodness gracious me, I don't know what I'm watching here. But let's go on and let's start it off. But before we start it off, we do it in the draft format.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Jack a question. Hopefully he gets it here. So, Jack, in 1998, Jack is quite terrible with it.
I'm bad with this history
with
stuff.
Trivia. In 1998, in the World Cup final, Brazil versus France. France hosted the final. Zidane scored the first 2 goals. Yes, I think that's very well known. But who scored the 3rd goal in the final?
Oh my God. It would be a complete guess for me. I was 4. I know it's no excuse because what would you have been, 2 or 1 or something?
I was 1.
Yeah, so
I was 1. Out the womb.
Damn, no excuse for me. Damn, I don't know. Thuram.
He scored in semi-final. He scored two in the semi-final.
Okay.
It was actual Emmanuel Petit.
Okay, right, okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, dude, my history. That's why I need to start asking you questions on a permanent basis now because it's just embarrassing for me at this point.
All right, okay. So I'm gonna go for this guy because I think the guy I was gonna pick before this is better. It's better in my eyes, but I'm gonna go for this guy because I want to get him, and he's my main guy. He's my favorite center midfielder of all time. Some people might consider him an attacking midfielder, but no, Jack's already gonna have him. This one is hands down me and Jack's favorite guy.
Yeah,
it's Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah,
now,
no argument at all.
I think he's the best, and I seen this video saying like, is Zidane like overrated or something like that, or like inconsistent. I'm gonna watch it and I might have to react to that too. So if you guys want to see me react to that video, definitely comment down below. But Zinedine Zidane as a midfielder, what can I say, guys? Elegance personified. When he played football, was almost like he brought his son to the park and he was joining in with the kids. His ability, his touch, the ball can be fired at him from like 40, 50 yards away on his on his head. He will still find a way to control it like it's a bit of goo, bring it down and just control the pace of the game. One of my favorite performances of all time was his performance against Brazil in the 2006 World Cup, where in a game that had Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Henry, Lucio, Kaka, some of the world's best, Ribery, he was head and shoulders above anyone there. And it wasn't even close. It was all of them and then Zidane that day. He was immense. And again, we can list off his achievement. 3-time World Football Player of the Year, World Cup winner, Champions League winner, scored in both. I think is one of only few people to score in 2 World Cups. Played for Real Madrid, won La Ligas. I think, did he win a Serie A title with Juventus?
With Juve, yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
And I think on his debut, I think people need to go check out Zidane's debut as a professional football player. He comes on and scores 2 goals, and one of them was this ridiculous goal with his left foot. You just knew that this guy was gonna be a star from the start. Just elegance personified. My favorite midfielder of all time, the greatest midfielder in my eyes, number 1, Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah, and absolutely no arguments from me. This is the player that I knew we were going to agree on. So if I got the question right, I was going to pick him, and if if I got the question wrong, James was going to pick him. So yeah, no complaints from me at all. Thing I think that really I think sums up Zidane very well is it's the perfect eye test player, and by that what I mean is all you have to do is watch him play. Some players you need to list some accolades to get some. Oh, okay. Oh wow, they did achieve a lot. Or, oh wow, they did do this. All you need to do is watch Zinedine Zidane play football for 10 minutes, and then you know what you're dealing with and what quantity you're dealing with there. So cannot argue with that at all.
He looks like he's playing football in slow motion. That's how that's how good he is. You know, when he gets the ball, everything slows down.
Yeah, and it's unreal. And hopefully not too much of a spoiler, but when James and I do our all-time greatest 11, Zinedine Zidane will be in there in midfield. Shock horror. But anyway, on to my number 1 pick. This guy, I'm going to go for Lothar Matthäus. Now, he is widely regarded as the greatest. He's kind of up there with the likes of maybe a Franz Beckenbauer type in terms of all-time great German central midfielders. Watching him play was bizarre because it's funny. I recently tweeted a Ronaldo video about early days Brazilian Ronaldo, and just watching him just absolutely shred people to bits, just getting fouled left and right, staying on his feet, just marching through people, touch at the perfect time, balance, and his agility was unbelievable. Lothar Matthäus was doing that from midfield. It's incredible. Occasionally he'll just pick the ball up from the center spot, dribble past 3 or 4 people, maybe a 1-2, and then just finish. He doesn't look too flashy. He kind of looks like, I don't know, like somebody's dad, somebody's uncle. I don't know. He doesn't have any sort of flair or I don't know what you'd call him, tracks in his hair or slits in his eyebrow or something like a lot of modern players with, I don't know, earrings or whatever. Very old fashioned, old school, all that kind of stuff. just list off some achievements here. 7 times Bundesliga champion, Serie A, 1 title, competed in no less than 5 World Cups, winning 1, and then was the runner-up in another one. FIFA World Player of the Year 1991, and just a part of that kind of late 80s Germany team. I think there's the Adres kit, which everyone remembers, the white with the kind of flag going up the side of the kit. He was the main man as a part of that team. And honestly, I'm telling everybody at home now who's thinking, who's this guy? Who are you talking about? Why hasn't Xavi come up yet? Go and watch Lothar Matthäus in just some of the stuff that he was capable of.
Lothar Matthäus could do as a midfielder, not as a midfielder, as a football player, could do everything. Not the most flashiest guy you're ever going to see. He doesn't he doesn't have the Paul Pogba, the Xavi highlights. But you talk about efficiency, he does it the best. I think he's the last German player to win the FIFA Ballon d'Or at the age of 30, at the age of 38, he was named German player of the year. He played for Juventus, he played for Bayern Munich, won a World Cup. Surprisingly enough, never won a Champions League. Was runner up twice. I'm guessing with Bayern Munich. But just overall, when I was doing my research towards this, he was one that just kept on coming up. And I've been told stories as a kid. My dad talking to me, this guy just efficient. Just what?
No controversy, James. I think it's the big thing. I think a lot of the bigger, more notable players, there was something flashy, something in the headlines, something that kind of drew attention from who they were as a footballer. I think, Lothar Matthäus gets kind of maybe overlooked occasionally because he didn't have that attention-seeking aspect. He came in, did his job unbelievably well, and he had such a long career. Some of the names he played against from the beginning of his career and the end of his career, some played across eras, incredible.
I think Diego Maradona said that he was his toughest rival.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if Diego, we'll get to him in a minute, can say that, it just shows you what type of great player he is. I think he was known as Superman to to Germans. Just again, he was one that was in and out, because my list is weird. I don't have I wasn't. There was so many I couldn't decide, and he was one that was in and out. But if I'm really looking at it, yes, he should be in my top 3, and he is, because I don't really have it in my head exactly. I'm just going by what Jack is giving me. But yeah, I'm very, very happy you put him in there. Really happy with that one. But my number 2, and to me, probably the best out of all these guys, and we're not really sure where to put him, but to me, doing my research, realizing that yes, this guy's an attacking midfielder, Diego Maradona, and to me, he's number 1.
Okay, he's not a winger for you, James, because I'd put him in the winger category.
Looking at where he's played in his whole career, it seems like he's always popping up as an attacking midfielder. Now, Diego Maradona, what can I say about him? Unfortunately, he passed a few months ago. Very, very sad. But as a football player, we look at Lionel Messi, we look at Cristiano Ronaldo. What he was able to do in his career, I don't think either of them could ever achieve or even come close to. He won a Serie A with Napoli. And people are like, oh, Napoli? Well, he probably had some good players around him. No, it was just Diego Maradona and his genius. Right. He won 2 titles with them. He won a UEFA Cup. And then I can talk about the World Cup, the greatest performance in World Cup history. People can even say the greatest performance in football history, scoring arguably the greatest goal in football on such a big stage. Just what a football player. Watching it, again, I can go back and watch the highlights of him. Incredible. But I tell you what I also love to do with Diego Maradona is watch some of his warm-ups, because it's just the weirdest thing you'll ever see. But your mind will be blown with the things he would do. It's he would be doing keep-uppies, and he would kick the ball in the air, 50, probably around 50 yards. The ball would just go so high, come down, back up in the air, come down, back up in the air. It's just, I didn't understand it till I actually went on the park, and I think Gary Lineker said that until he actually done it. I went out and tried to do it. The ball went there the first time. The second time, I think I was able to get 2. as a football player, he is perhaps the greatest we've ever seen. And yes, controversies in his career will draw people back.
But one of the nicest dudes ever. I remember seeing the amount of stories I've heard, and I remember a video clip where Gary Lineker comes into the dressing room. Diego Maradona gives him a big hug, introduces him to the entire dressing room of the team he was playing for. I forget who it was, and then he asks about his family, and then they say, "Yeah, we'll go to dinner tomorrow. We'll go to dinner tomorrow." And the warmth in his heart. It was that warm up thing. It reminds me of Ronaldinho, and obviously Maradona was there first doing that stuff before Ronaldinho was doing the warm up stuff. So.
And also, I put Diego there to just save some space for other guys.
Nice of you.
Like out wide, but yeah, Diego Maradona. Like we can talk here all day about him, but Diego Maradona, my guy. Jack.
Unreal talent. Absolutely unbelievable talent. And hand of God, obviously it still hurts a little bit, it wasn't alive for it, but it still hurts. But no, undeniable talent, and definitely in that echelon, if we're talking icons, it's one of the first couple of names that comes to mind. So the next one for me, I'm potentially, maybe this will catch James a little off guard. But for me, something that I really like is like a common denominator when it comes to success. And my pick is Clarence Seedorf. Clarence Seedorf for me is one of the most underrated football players of all time, and that kind of sounds crazy because you think, well, no, he's lauded as one of the better players in kind of the history of football. The reason why he was so fantastic is the consistency was just unbelievable. And what I mean by that is Ajax, 2 titles, 93-94, 94-95. A Champions League in 94-95 in that fantastic Ajax team. Moves to Real Madrid, wins La Liga 96-97. Champions League 97-98 the year after. Moves to Milan for, a good 10-plus year period generally. 2 Serie A titles, 2 Champions Leagues. Everywhere the guy goes, he just wins. That's domestic league titles in 3 different countries. 2 of which were very, very difficult to obtain in the Real Madrid and Milan ones. And he was part of that fantastic Milan team and played with a bunch of great players. But the guy was just the epitome of control. And I think the idea is, it's being underestimated because physically, not a very dominant guy. He had fantastic footwork, but you'd see him kind of glide past people and move away from people with clever footwork. And you think, he's not really trying that hard. He's just kind of getting away with it here. So for me, Clarence Seedorf, one of the greatest of all time. But I think another theme with a lot of my guys is just dangerously underrated. What do you think, James?
I didn't think he was gonna make it, if I'm being honest, like into the top 6. Without a doubt, he's in there. And to be fair with this, a lot of people can't really argue because everyone that we pick are all-time greats. Generally, right. These are all-time greats, and Clarence Seedorf to me is an all-time great. And funny you mentioned Clarence. I was talking about him yesterday because me and Jed were talking about Tony Creus and Steven Gerrard and how great, and he's talking about how Modric and Creus have changed football and all like all that stuff. And I'm like, what about players like a Michael Ballack? What about players like a Clarence Seedorf? What they're able to do, in their career, 3, and it's not like 3 like where he played half parts. No, he was front and center in every single one of them wins. Always an important player. A cool thing about Clarence Seedorf is how he was able to go from Dreads Clarence Seedorf in 2003 to all bald, making it look cool and that, A testament to him, you mentioned, is the consistency level. Just always being able to play at the highest level. Even at the age of 35, still playing at the highest level. I remember the 2010 game, Man United versus AC Milan. And it was all about Beckham. Clarence Seedorf came on and turned the game on its head. And people were like, why is he not starting? At the age of 35, he's still bossing games. And also the funny thing you mentioned about consistency. When they play all these charity games, you see all these ex-pros coming and playing all these charity games. The common denominator I always see is that whatever team Clarence Seedorf is on wins the game. Because they always say, for some reason, you see all these guys, they're not fit again. They're not at the level. Clarence is still fit as a fiddle. and his level is absolutely like ridiculous. Everything in his arsenal, it's not just average, it's very, very good. So is he a great passer? 8. Is he box to box? 8. Every single thing is an 8, and that creates to me an all-around great midfielder.
The other thing I'll say as well, James, something I like from my midfielders, because it would be the player that I would like to be, is that longevity aspect as well. And like I said, with domestic titles and Champions League titles in 3 different teams, over 700 professional football appearances. I believe it's over 725 if you include the international ones as well. There are so many players who shone so brightly for such a short period of time. And I think the thing that people need to start respecting a little bit more is that longevity aspect. I don't want to get into a LeBron, Michael Jordan kind of debate here, but I find it so impressive what somebody like LeBron James was doing compared to, say, somebody like Michael Jordan for that kind of shorter burst. And that's kind of the football comparison I bring. The reason why we're so amazed by Messi and Ronaldo is because in isolation, it's not that they were great over 2 or 3 years. They've been bang at it for about 15 years. It's been incredible to watch. And that's why I'm just giving him a little more credit.
I love the pick. I was surprised that you picked him, but I also love it at the same time. And he was in contention for me. But my last one, and I kind of did it over this. I have so many, this generally makes me feel bad because I feel like I'm we should do probably a longer list and we will do a longer list, to be fair. Honorable mentions could have about 100 names on it. But
maybe we'll do a tier maker maybe one day.
I think so. But my number 3 is a modern day, in my eyes, the greatest of this generation is Andres Iniesta. Now, people may say Xavi. I just love Andres' style and his consistency throughout this whole 10-year span. Now, I think he's the only player to be named man of the match in a Euros final, Champions League final, World Cup final, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think I think Super Cup, Club World Cup. He's
three pretty good ones, though.
Three pretty good ones. But he's been named man of the match in every single one. Iniesta as a midfielder, modern day, is someone that if I was playing against, I would look at and be like, damn, I can't get near you. And even when I could I actually get the ball off him? His dribbling ability, his his close control, his ability to play 1-2s around you, his ability to also spray the ball. And you've seen when Xavi was slowly but surely parting ways with Barcelona, Iniesta was the glue. The 2015 display, he was tremendous and was named man of the match in in the final. To me, what he's been able to do in the last 10 years puts him above so many players. And the biggest thing for me is the consistency level. Constantly playing at the highest level, being great at the highest level. And just to me, overall, from what I've seen, I have him as my number 3.
I'm not going to try and pretend that Andres Iniesta is not deserving in this draft at some point. But I am potentially unpopularly so. I'm a Xavi guy. And actually, my third and final pick was going to be Xavi. So I was kind of hoping to open up the conversation. Yeah.
One thing about Xavi and Iniesta, to me, there's 50 different type of Xavis I can see. There's only one Xavi, but there's a lot of players built like Xavi. There isn't a lot of players built like Iniesta. For what Iniesta does, there's only one of him.
But the thing is, I think that there wouldn't be those other 14 Xavi types without Xavi there in the first place. He inspired those 14 other guys. For me, Xavi is the whole reason. I mean, obviously we can talk about Messi and we can do that stuff, but the Barcelona blueprint, that style of play, which we know and love, commonly referred to as tiki-taka. I know people get sick of that, but that style is born from somebody like Xavi Hernández. Range of passing, actually got more goals than somebody like Andres Iniesta, even though he played a little deeper as well. Unbelievably well respected. I think we're going to see him have a fantastic career as a manager as well. I'm sure he'll be back in Barcelona at some point as coach. I'm really excited for that. And Xavi was going to be my third pick. So Xavi and Iniesta are hard to separate. That's for damn.
I think it makes sense that I pick Iniesta and Jack picks Xavi to kind of make him, because they kind of like
They
two
need
peas
to
in a
go
pod,
together. Yeah, it's
basically.
one without the other. But I didn't have Xavi then Iniesta. And I guess this will be a nice transition to the honourable mentions. My who have I got here? So I had Zidane, Matthäus, Seedorf, Xavi. I then had Frank Rijkaard. Then I had Iniesta. Who's your kind of next honourable mention?
Uh, honorable mention list is huge. But also, I just want to give a quick look into Xavi. Now, you hear me say like, oh yeah, you can make Xavis, and to me in academy football, you see a lot of players as Xavi. But the one thing I began to understand when looking at Xavi was when I was younger, I was an Arsenal fan, big Cesc Fabregas fan. Like Fabregas is miles better than Xavi. Why? Because he assists more, he scored more. Then came the game at like the Emirates, kind of the first time we kind of played them, with like the Pep Guardiola team in 2010. Xavi bossed the midfield to the point I was thinking like, oh my goodness, I am so wrong with what I'm seeing right now. Fabregas got around on muck that day, and yes, he had great players around him, but Xavi was just a whole freaking show. Like he, as a midfielder, for what he does, keeping the ball ticking over, everything like that. You know, his first touch, his awareness, his ability to know where all the opponents are and to control the tempo of the game. He is an absolute great. Now, honorable mentions list, and to be fair, this can be argued on so
So
many,
long.
like
Yeah.
so much. Paul Scholes.
Yeah,
He
I
to
had
me
him.
is players' player. When players talk about their best player, Paul Scholes is always mentioned. Zidane mentioned it. Guardiola mentioned it. Xavi mentioned it. He is the players' player. We got Frank Lampard. I don't know where we're gonna put Johan Cruyff.
I think in my head he's a left winger, and this is yet again. I was about to make the joke earlier in the video. We could do a whole Dutch team video where
We
everybody plays attack, midfield, and defense, and we just
Okay. We have Steven Gerrard. We got Patrick Vieira.
yeah,
Pirlo, who I thought Pirlo could have made it, if I'm being honest. We got
yeah.
Frank Rijkaard. We got Pep Guardiola. Roy Keane, who was, I think, so underrated for what he does.
People forget how good a footballer he was because of that
Yeah.
thug mentality. Same for Vieira as well. They both had this persona, but they were both great footballers.
A massive name that to me probably should have made the six if I'm Jenny being honest of overall ability is Zico. Brazilian Zico. Now this guy was known as the White Pele, and Pele said it himself was the closest thing to him from all the Brazilians. Yes,
Yeah.
he was a part of that great Brazilian team that failed to win a World Cup, but what he was able to do with Flamengo, his flair, his free kick ability, Zico. I remember watching Football's Greatest with Zico, and it just he blew me away. Another one, yes, he is corrupt, but Michel Platini as a football player, oh my goodness, an absolute goal scorer. His overall ability and then his free kick ability was just sensational.
Yeah, the list is quite unbelievable. You know, you could throw a Xabi Alonso in there as well. I don't know if we've mentioned. Did I mention Ruud Gullit already?
Obviously,
Makelele.
Claude Makelele was a huge one. For me, Michael Laudrup is a huge one. Like, there's so many here. Michael Ballack, who I think is just so slept on. We got Sergio Busquets, Yaya Toure, Edgar Davids,
Modric. Somebody like Modric.
Modric, definitely. Graham Souness. Like, a lot of people forget about Graham Souness. Didi. We got Kaka, Rivellino. Glenn Hoddle was a great player.
Would we consider Pavel Nedved as a number 10?
I think he's a wide man. I personally think he's a wide man. But again, Jack, do you have any more names that I failed to mention there?
No, I mean the thing is that the difficulty with a conversation like this, and this is something that I think you and I have found an issue for a long time, is you justify it whatever way you want. And the thing is, every single name that you mention is going to be unbelievable. And I'm telling everybody watching, if James and I had kind of a list where we did our top 100, every single one of those players at one point in time potentially would have made the world 11. That's how good we're talking. That's the level we're talking.
Guys, the level here is like, this is why I feel so bad making this list, because to me there's just so many unbelievable footballers that should be on this list. Like Zico, to me, I probably now think, oh, maybe I should put Zico over someone like Adres, Iniesta for what he did overall. Like it's a mad one.
You could justify that, but I think, you know, you start getting into, I mean, obviously the classic British conversation is Scholes, Gerrard or Lampard, and like, I'll just give an example. The reason why Lampard is quite easily third on that list for me is because the kind of support network that Lampard had around him so that he could be successful was significantly better than something like somebody like Gerrard had, or even like what Paul Scholes had. You know, if I could operate in a midfield three next to Michael Ballack, Essien, John Obi Mikel, Lord Makalele, with Drogba up front being target man, laying, you know, balls off for me, hey, I'd be doing pretty well too. Whereas Steven Gerrard's had to kind of do it the hard way, and obviously Paul Scholes is absolute magic. It's and I'm sure Chelsea fans are probably going, you're crazy. You know, I think Lampard also got like 40, 50 penalties in his career too. So it's just your own justification. I'm not trying to
listen. You know. I'm literally going through a list right now, just make sure that I don't forget any names. There's guys, because generally there are so many talented midfielders here. I feel bad for, like, this section alone, I feel so bad for, because other sections you kind of get it. The midfield is just so much balance to it. It's actually ridiculous.
N'Golo Conte, does N'Golo Conte get a shout? I mean, is Paul Pogba? I mean, I know probably not close to these names, but you know, Paul Pogba potentially.
You know, like, we might have to do a list of. Probably modern day, I still think that these guys still have a lot to do to catch up with what we have already. I think Luka Modric is the closest one.
I agree, and when you mentioned about De Bruyne on the phone the other day, you know, the guy's 29. He could win a Champions League this year. He could win more Premier League titles. He could win more Champions Leagues. He could win international trophies as well. So maybe this list will be revisited in 10 years' time. Listen, and we'll see where we're at.
I might have to revisit tomorrow. But guys, tell me what you think about the draft we've done. Do you agree with the midfielders that we've picked? So Jack, who did you have?
So I've got it up here. So I had Lothar Matthäus in first. Number 2, I had Clarence Seedorf. And number 3, I had Xavier Hernández.
So I'm going to flip it. So technically, I had Maradona at 1, Zidane at number 2.
Oh, that's all.
Andre.
I mean,
listen, and Andres Iniesta as my number 3. But again, I could change to so many different pairs. Pirlo, Zico, guys. My head is about to blow with the amount of great players we have there. But guys, tell me what you think right now. What list was better? I know mine was. Let us know, guys. Let us know your list. Comment down below. Thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time.